Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm, LLC, offers more value than any other good full-service real estate brokerage firm when it comes to the sale of your home. We offer at least 27 things that contribute to your home selling in the least amount of time at the highest price. To receive our free home selling pamphlet, email us at info@brooksanddavis.com or call 713-665-8329. We also assist people who want to purchase homes or who are interested in getting their real estate license. Visit us at www.brooksanddavis.com.
Are you an inspiring entrepreneur? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur looking to take your business to the next level. My name is LarryWBrooks, and I am the author of Empowering Quotes for the Entrepreneur in You and The Entrepreneur Code. In these two books, I guarantee you there's success secrets that will take your business to the next level. I personally invite you to visit LarryWBrooks.com. Go under the books link and purchase your signed personal copy from myself. You have a great day and have an awesome 2020.
Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. I'm your host, Ric Davis. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I invite you to do so at Prime Real Estate Ric. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in the great state of Texas, but especially in the city of Houston, you can reach me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Ric. I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in this week. It's an honor and a pleasure to bring the show to you this week, just like we do every Thursday here in the noon hour. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we have a very exciting show lined up for you. First off, I'd like to introduce my co-host. He is not only a highly successful real estate broker, a multi-time author, serial entrepreneur, the proud proprietor of Pure Hustle clothing brand, holding it down with us on episode 195. I'd like to welcome the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks. What's going on, brother?
Hey, 195, man. Come on. We not joking. We pumping them out, man.
Hey, man, it's good to see you, man. How you doing this week, man? What's been going on in the world of the Texas Real Estate King?
Man, not much, man. I am doing good this week. Last Saturday, we had an opportunity at Manville. My son won one of their important district games, and what can I tell you, man? It was just an amazing game, amazing win. I'm actually coming to you live from Arizona today. So,
okay, we in AZ. What's going on?
We in AZ, man. So I'm down here. I had a little bit of work I needed to do, but then I'm also gonna go to the game tonight. So the Arizona Cardinals are playing the New Orleans Saints. So that Thursday night football, man, we're gonna see how they go.
Now, okay, Arizona. First things first. How's the weather right now? What is the vibe like in Arizona right now at the end of October in the fall? What is fall like in AZ?
You know what? It's good. You know, so in the evenings it's about 65. During the day it gets up to about 85, 88. So that's still that warm weather. When I left Houston, we were starting to get cooler weather. So the weather is still warm here, but it's not exhausting hot where you don't want to move throughout the day. So it's been good.
You know, one of the cool things is that Arizona is, especially so the area where you are, can be a vacation destination.
It is.
You'd be surprised how during this time of year, Christmas, New Year's Eve, people travel to that area. So if you can find some time, man, bring back some information for those interested in possibly investing in that area, finding out what's available as far as Airbnb possibilities. So when you get a chance, bring all that stuff back, man, and I'd love to share it with the audience next week.
No doubt, man. Sounds like a great idea to me.
Hey, man, you know, we at the part of the show, brother, where we always ask you to share with the audience a little of the background that you have professionally with this week's guest and some of the links that you had to go to secure a commitment of this week's guest to actually appear on the podcast. So could you share with the audience a little bit about the background that you have with this week's entrepreneur and business owner?
Yeah, man. So this week's guest is one of our amazing producers over at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. She joined the firm not too long ago, man, and she's been really knocking it out the ballpark. She's doing numbers that I hadn't quite seen in a while when I actually first got into the business when it came to certain areas that she's focused in. And so just seeing her do amazing things is good. It wasn't hard getting her on at all. You know, the Brooks and Davis family is always going to open their doors and open their hearts and open their their gems that they want to drop to the audience very easily. So it was very easy to get her to be a part of the show today.
Oh no, and I want to make sure I introduce her with no further ado. I
Yeah.
want to thank her so much for carving some time out of her busy schedule. Like Larry said, she's not only a real estate rock star at Brooks and Davis Real
Yeah.
Estate Firm, she's a multi-family real estate investment expert,
Hmm.
entrepreneur, business owner, inspiration, and mentor. I would like to thank her for appearing on the podcast, and I'd like to introduce Miss Bria. Craige, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Ah, that's what we got in the building. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Now, Larry been bragging on you for the past 45 seconds. So, first thing first, Miss Bria, could you introduce yourself, your real estate practice to our audience, and share a little bit about your real estate brand and the services you provide?
Okay. So my name's Bria. I've been in Houston since 2019. I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been practicing real estate for 2 years now. I've been around real estate for almost all my life. I like to call myself the multifamily fanatic. I've
Come
been
on.
in management for years. So when I moved and transitioned into real estate, my main focus was apartment locating.
Hmm.
Like to stay within the multifamily, that's what I'm most familiar with. So my niche would be apartment locating as well as
Hmm.
short-term rentals.
So, as far as with that concentration, how have you been able to help your clients, those who are looking to maybe buy, invest, and have an interest in multifamily, but don't know anything about that particular aspect of real estate?
So the first thing I like to explain to my clients, if they're looking to grow their rental property portfolio, I definitely like to stir them more towards the multifamily end. Reason
Hmm.
being is the cash flow is much greater with multifamily.
Hmm.
And also you can go from owning one property today to multiple tomorrow.
Wow.
Um, with the same process that you would go through if you were renting a single family home. But
Wow.
again, the cash flow is just much greater.
It's
Yeah.
funny because Larry and I talk about how we both had a chance in our first early years of real estate to actually work for developers, where
Hmm.
you actually market properties, help people buy, sell, and you actually get to see behind the curtain to see the actual dollars and cents and how much money is being made. You
Hmm.
spoke about, Ms. Bria, how you have a background in property management and how you did property management for multifamily apartments and stuff. Could you share with our audience how that experience and you see it behind the curtain and you
Hmm.
seeing how much money is getting made in rents every month, how that motivated you to want to be an owner as opposed to somebody just working for a multifamily real estate organization?
Okay. So multifamily, in my opinion, is definitely slept on. Um,
Mm.
being on the property management end, especially working in the accounting aspects, so working with the books, collecting rent,
Hmm.
being able to look at those different reports for the amount of cash flow that this property is bringing in is something that was definitely an eye catcher for me.
Mm.
Just being around different individuals that own single family homes, looking at the money that's being invested compared to the money that's being returned, and then comparing that to multifamily in whole, it's like you kind of cheating yourself in a sense. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, if you're looking to grow quick, multifamily will definitely be something to look into. Of course, the money to put down may be a little greater, but there's definitely a lot of loans and grants that's being given out for multifamily, especially here in Houston, because it is
Yeah.
definitely a growing industry. You have apartments being built every day. You
Every
have
day. Yeah.
management companies selling properties every day. So it's
Yeah.
definitely something that is a growing industry. And a lot of times people overlook it. It's not something that you run to, especially when you hear about real estate. You always, first thing someone says is you buy and sell homes. No, not necessarily. That's just like a part of it. It's
Right.
definitely
Hmm.
not the whole thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Bria, and it's good. Like someone like yourself is able to educate people and give them a better aspect of it, because multifamily is definitely where you want to be when it comes to your buy and hold process. And I think sometimes we get so tied up into buy, flip this, buy, flip that, that sometimes we forget the greater revenue is the ability to be able to buy something and hold it more long term, especially if it's multifamily where you got different units that's paying you different checks every month. You can look at life a little differently when it's coming residually like that.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
also, even if you want to start small with like a fourplex or something in that nature,
Yeah.
you can always stay in one side, have two rented out, have those tenants paying the mortgage on that, and then you can short-term rental the third one and have continuous
Yes.
cash flow just on one unit. A
Whew.
lot of people don't look at that as well, because when you're looking at short-term rentals, let's say for instance you have a unit that the mortgage on that unit is $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're renting it out for $100 a day. You have 30 days in a month, so you
Mm-hmm.
done already double, triple the mortgage, and you can
That's right.
pocket the rest. So your expenses is already taken care of. And at that point you save that and you go and do it again.
Wow.
So you have that flexibility when you're in multifamily, because it's more than one unit, it's
Mm-hmm.
multiple areas of cash flow. So you're able to earn that cash back quicker, flip it and
Mm-hmm.
turn it around.
No, what's so powerful, Bria, about what you just mentioned was how somebody can start investing in multifamily at a considerably smaller investment than they might think in their imagination. And you just mentioned how it's possible for someone to have a fourplex, stay
Mm-hmm.
in one of the units, rent out the other three. So what it just speaks to me is how people who are renting right now, who
Mm-hmm.
currently are in a position to buy, but for whatever reason are renting or are have anxiety as far as committing those type of long-term resources towards a traditional home, this could be an aspect of
Mm-hmm.
investing from a multifamily standpoint that these people might not even really be considering.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how often and how easy can it be for somebody who's living in an apartment right now, whose lease expires in maybe May or June, to reach out to you and start putting the ball in motion to set themselves up to be able to invest in a multifamily duplex or fourplex in 2023?
It's pretty easy. Just contact me. We can see. I mean, that's as easy as
I know
it
that's
is.
right.
Just
Right.
contact me. We can talk about what you're looking for. Just see where you're standing, and we can go from there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, there's programs for that. So never
Hmm.
think. Usually when it comes to like selling or buying, especially when you're about to buy a new home, people always, the first thing, well, I don't have money saved, or how I'm going to afford this, or how can I pay for closing costs. There's programs for that, especially if
Yeah.
you're a first time buyer. All you have to do is contact me. We can get the ball rolling.
I know that's
Eh,
right.
No, and Larry, and I want to ask you this question because what is so such an eye-opening about this conversation that we're having is that Bria is elaborating on the fact that you can use your first-time home buyer privileges and take advantage of first-time home buyer lenders,
Yep.
take advantage of those added incentives to actually buy a multifamily real estate or multifamily residence, which to me is
That's right.
just so amazing because Larry, this is something that is so very underreported. And
Yeah.
in your experience, how many people actually know from a first-time buyer's perspective, know that they can take advantage of loans and first-time buyer programs in this fashion?
It's really one of those things that is just now really hitting the ground running, right? Like a lot of times people you just don't know. You don't think about that when it comes to purchasing. You're thinking about the isolation of just purchasing your own residence versus I want to say over the last 2 years, 3 years, this has been something that's slowly been building up. And then as people start to get more educated, when they get to running into realtors like Bria and having an opportunity to have a real conversation with them about this is when you see the growth. So yeah, this is still very, very new. This is a lot of people just don't understand. They want to think about them, their family versus, hey, this would be a opportunity for this to be my very first rental property. And I could turn it in 5 years, go and purchase my own single family home if I wanted to, but then I already got this investment portfolio going. So yeah, I think it's something that this conversation is growing now over the last 2 to 3 years.
And Ms. Bria, I want to make sure I ask all of the questions that members of our audience may have, but since they don't have opportunity to interact with you in real time, I'll ask the
Hmm.
questions for them. As far as loan qualification and pre-qualification, is the process any different in your experience from somebody who's looking to purchase a single family residential home versus their first four-door fourplex?
No, it's really not a big difference between the line of single family and multifamily. It's pretty much similar. It's the same processing that you go through. They may require a little more, but for the most part, if you qualify for a single family, you can definitely qualify for multifamily. And again, you don't have to think big. You don't have to think of this 100-unit portfolio, but something as simple as a fourplex, you definitely can qualify for it.
And then the great thing about working with someone like yourself, Ms. Craige, is that you are able to provide your clients with a resource from a lender's perspective. Someone that you've been working with, that's worked with clients before and have experience helping people purchase their first multifamily investment property. So I urge everyone to reach out to you, get involved, tap in, reach out to you on Instagram and give you a call. But Larry and I, every time we have an opportunity to interview someone like yourself, one of the questions that I always like to ask, because it helps to give our audience a little bit better insight into your background, is what was your life like before you became an entrepreneur? What did you do before you decided to dedicate yourself professionally to real estate? And what was that transition like for you?
So again, I started in property management. So what made me start working in property management? I was going to college, LSU, go Tigers. It's going
represent.
No doubt.
Yes. So I was in college. I definitely didn't want to stay in the dorm, but I wasn't trying to work. So I did a little research, found out about student housing. So I worked at an apartment complex that was tailored to students, and I got a free apartment. So worked in a leasing office, and I worked there to keep my place. Once I left LSU, I was actually teaching high school English. I definitely enjoyed it. The only thing that kind of made me idle was I felt like I was coming to work every day and it was just the same routine. Like I didn't feel like I was expanding my knowledge in no way, shape, or form. So it kind of became boring to me. So just like looking at how real estate started developing, especially in multifamily, I decided to go back into property management. So I went back into leasing. At this point, I'm at conventional. Now, conventional and student housing is like completely different. I was at a distressed property, so I definitely learned a lot as far as like maintenance, working with different contractors, vendors, and things like that. So I then moved from that into commercial real estate. I was an assistant property manager for a commercial building in New Orleans. Now, what I liked about working there, I learned a lot, not only about the commercial like end of property management, but also like the political end and how these buildings are bought out in the city and a lot of things that go on behind closed doors that nobody knows about. When I worked in commercial property management, I learned a lot about that. So I literally woke up one day and just following the trends, looking into real estate in Louisiana, I just saw that it wasn't really big development. It wasn't a lot of development going on. So I started like having an eye out on Houston, paying attention to the trends, just looking at new development that was happening, all these like new different areas of Houston that's being built, like Atascocita, back there in Rosenberg, like all this new development. So that's what kind of put an eye out on Houston for me. But I knew, I didn't at that moment know anybody here in Texas, so I had to like get my feet in the door. So I reached out to somebody from college. They were working at an apartment out here, and they were able to give me an interview. I literally came to Houston the week of Thanksgiving. I interviewed, got the job, moved out here in 3 days, told nobody. Literally, I told nobody because I had my eye on something. I'm like, I got this. My family they were upset. They was like, why you just moved to Houston? I'm like, Houston is going somewhere. I know it's going somewhere.
Hey man, this is what it is.
This is right. This is true. This is very true.
Here And my whole idea was, I'm gonna come out here, I'm gonna work at an apartment on in real estate in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, management company, so I was able to see a lot of like the investments they were making,
Mm-hmm.
just different things like that. So I jumped around a few times, and I sat there, and the friend who helped me move out here, he was like, "Yeah, there's this thing out here called apartment locating." He was like, "You leasing
Mm.
apartments and $50 to $100 a lease, you can make like 150% of their lease." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You
Right.
can
Yeah,
do
that's
what?"
a real thing.
Right.
So he basically gave me information. He was like, you have to be licensed. So I went, I studied my course 3 months. I passed my state and my national first time. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
this easy. The company I was with, I was top leaser in the company. They promoted me to leasing manager to train other leasers. I'm like, so I could do this on a
Yeah.
small scale. I could take over Houston, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I became licensed. And after that, every day I'm learning, I'm doing more research, I'm looking at different things, different ways to market. I definitely appreciate student living for my ability to market, because that's something that they thrive on, is marketing.
Yeah.
So I was able to take that knowledge and move it into real estate. One thing that I can say has made me successful with apartment locating in general is I have that property management background. So I know the ins
That's
and
right.
outs of a leasing office. I know how screening works. I know what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Right.
I know what a property manager looks for when they're screening their applicants, what they may
Mm.
kick back. So when I am working with my clients, I'm able to give them that insight information, which definitely makes the process much quicker. The approval rate definitely higher. Um, After that,
Makes
I'm
sense.
like, okay, I gotta go from there. So that's what basically got me started.
No, Miss Bria, because your story is so authentic that I'm sure members of our audience are going to be drawn to you because they see certain parallels to either your thought process when you were in college versus your need to want to elevate and upgrade from a
Mm-hmm.
professional standpoint. So Larry and I like to ask all of the business owners that we interview every week this same question, and I'll ask it to you. When you think back to your upbringing and your childhood, was there any members of your family that were business owners or entrepreneurs that, when you think about it, might have been like a motivator or an example to inspire you to take this road less traveled? Because being a
Yeah.
business owner isn't easy.
Um,
That's true.
yes. My mom.
Ah,
She was phenomenal. She always had a go-getter type of personality. It was never a no for an answer with her. And she would do any and everything she needed in order to get where she wanted.
Wow.
One thing that stuck with me was my mom wanted a behavioral facility. So she opened up a facility for children with like autism and things like that, and worked in a school board.
Mm-hmm.
So mind you, growing up, my mom never worked in that field. So I had to ask her when she originally opened.
let's see if we can get Bria back on, Larry. You know,
Yeah. I'm.
it's amazing. Here we go.
Oh,
Here she's
there you
Okay,
back.
go.
so
Go
yeah, I
ahead.
had to ask her like what made you get into this field. So basically, she just told me how she was working for a company, and she liked the flow of the office.
Mm.
So she basically would sit there to learn how the business was ran, because
Yeah.
she knew that she was going to take that information to open up her own. So she was paying attention of how they like screened the psychiatrist, how they would come in and do the paperwork, how different grants was written to get the
Uh-huh.
funding and things like that. And she took that information and quit. Literally, she took that information and quit. Found someone to go into partnership with her because of the knowledge that she had. It was easy to get someone to go into partnership,
Mm-hmm.
and she took off. So,
but that's the sweetest way to get to the wisdom, right? To serve, right? You go
yes,
in, you serve, you learn, and then you feel comfortable when you walk away with the knowledge of something that you want to do, and you see it on a strong and a business scale like that. So I think that was great. That smart, very smart.
yes. And
Mhm.
my mom, she always like extremely supportive. Never told me or my siblings what we couldn't do. She always
Mhm.
stood behind us. And you know, sometimes you need that type of support growing up. So when you become older, you're never like subconscious on failure. So like
True.
to me, when we were raised, failure wasn't like a bad thing. It was a learning process. And my
That's right.
mom always made sure to let us know of that. So if we failed at something or if something had a negative turn to it, she never focused on the negative aspect. It was always like, well, you gained this from that situation, or you learned this from that situation. So as an adult, I look at that. I never try to focus on the negative when nothing happens. Even if it's like a deal that falls through, a client that doesn't get approved for something, it's always like a learning process. And you literally take that
Mm.
information and you turn it around and you continue to go forward, you know?
Go
So
forward.
that's
Yeah.
something that really stuck with me.
You
Good.
know,
Good. I agree.
I want to thank you so much because you've been so transparent
Yeah.
and open with not only some of your real estate pointers for those who
Hmm.
might not necessarily have as much experience as you, but also you've given our audience a real world perspective that I'm
Hmm.
sure people that have partnered with you, clients, may not have necessarily been able to appreciate about your background. So I want to thank you so much for being so candid. So, Ms. Bria, please share all your contact information with our audience. I want to give everyone who wants to invest in duplexes, fourplexes, or even
Hmm.
Houston's next hotel the opportunity to reach out to you, get qualified, and learn more about the multifamily real estate arena. So please share all your
That's right.
contact info.
So you can reach me on Instagram at b.trinice, that's TRANIESE. You can reach me via email at my first name Bria, Bria, dot my last name Craige, Craige at yahoo.com. Or
Hmm.
you can contact me via cell phone at 504-342-7543.
I want to thank
Sounds
you
good.
so much, Miss Bria, man. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you sit in. You know, Larry and I like to put people on the spot when we got the camera recording. So if you ever would like to sit back in on the Prime Real Estate Network podcast, you have an open invitation from us. If you've ever like to sit in the co-host, we'd love to have you sit in with us sometime.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I definitely would love to come back.
No
Thank you
doubt.
so much. Until next time, man. Great luck selling, man, and nothing but success to you, Queen.
Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes, sir.
You know, we at the part of the show where we give everyone in our audience the opportunity to meet, greet, and interact with the Texas Real Estate King, if at all possible. So,
Yeah.
is there anything going on this week, this weekend that you want to share with the audience as far as what's going on with you or everything at Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm?
Man, we have a ton of events going on. I would like to say tonight we're actually having study house. So for those
Yes.
that are going through your training process, you're either getting licensed or you're looking to get ready to pass your exam. Brooks and Davis at our corporate location, the 2600 building, is going to be hosting a study hall tonight. And you can also log in, I think, via web as well, if you want to time into that too. So yeah, that'll be going on today at the Brooks and Davis office.
Perfect, man. Look, this episode, man, you've outdone yourself again, Larry. I don't know, you've been in your bag, man. We've been able to find some of the best and brightest and most influential entrepreneurs and business people to help interact with our audience, man. I hope
Yeah.
everyone in the audience is taking advantage and appreciate these fine business professionals and are staying tapped in and interacting with them
Yeah.
and doing
Yeah.
business, brother, man.
Yeah, and most definitely want to continue to emphasize the people like and subscribe the page. Those of you that follow us here on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment for us. It could be a fence pump, or it could be someone that you think would be an amazing guest. But we want you to most definitely leave comments for us and share. Share it on your social media platforms, and again, most definitely share it through your YouTube subscription too.
Amen. On behalf of myself, Ric Davis, and the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks, we'd like to thank everyone in the audience for tuning into the Prime Real Estate Network podcast. Until next week, in the noon hour. Everyone out there in the audience, please be safe and be blessed. We out here, man. Show is over. You can